Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to create a three-way without running any extra wires. Okay, and we're going to be using the Caseta switch system made by Lutron. Highly recommend it. Very reliable, high-end product, and the prices are coming down to be more affordable for, you know, not just super smart homes or anything like that, but to make it more affordable to utilize this method versus running wires up and over, because I'm going to charge the customer about $450 by the time I get done running those switch legs or those switch loops over and travelers. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this toggle switch out and we're going to put in this fancy little on-off switch. You've seen a lot that are dimmers, but we did another section in there for some under-counter lighting, and the power inverter was plugged into a receptacle. Now you can't put a receptacle on a dimmer, so we opted to just go with both systems to be on-off switches only. Okay, so I mean, these cans could be dimmed, but they were not looking to have them dim. They just want to be able to have the function to turn them on and off. So I'm going to turn that off right now. I'm going to open this up here. Okay, and I'm going to open this one up here as well so I can gain access to those wires a little bit easier. No need in fighting this. David Blue does things as easy as possible with less work as possible. And if it's cost effective for the customer, then why not? Okay, what do we got here? So we got basically just a single pole switch. Alright, I'm going to put this back in place here, because that, now that I know what those wires are like, we can just close this back up and work with these that way. Okay, that way it's out of my way, it's not flopping around. Line that up. We'll keep it a little loose now so we can line up our faceplate back on whenever we get through. Okay, so what we've got here is the hot and neutral, or the hot. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I need to get that neutral present. So I'll take that back over. Alright, we need that neutral. And of course, I'll probably edit this a little bit, because I'm probably going to do a couple things that some electrician out there is going to be the electrician police. And they'll be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should have done this way, this way. I don't care. I do what I want to do. I call it code blue. I'm going to turn that out of the way so that hot's not present. Get down here close, up and personal with it. Okay. Oh, look at that. Just nice out of the way. Right there. And what do we got? We got the hot in front. Okay. Get that positioned out of the way. And then there's the neutral right there. Okay. And then based on this right here, I can tell you that the hot is this wire, which would be the bottom terminal. I don't even have to put my sensor on it. That's how confident I am in my skills here. Take that off of there, put that down. We could temporarily put a wire nut on it for safety. Okay. And then this is the switch leg. Alright. Switch leg. And then this is our ground. And we're discarding this switch. And I don't need that coil terminal on there to mess with, so I'm just going to cut it a little short. Alright. And we'll get our new switch here. I've already pulled off the little thermals on here. And we're going to go with now cutting the blue down and capping it, because we're not using it as a three-way. I mean, we are making a three-way, but we're not hardwiring three-ways with an existing three-way system, which you would use that and then put the Pico for remote control. See how it staggers along like that, and you can do it that many ways. So let's get another wire nut here, and we're going to ground the switch first. Okay. Alright. We're going to cut back a little bit more. I always like to leave a little bit more exposed on my wires than what is given. And I'm sure most electricians would agree with that. Then you want to twist the wires so they're not so just stranded. It makes it a little bit more like a solid wire. And of course the neutral and the ground are braided, but they're actually not braided. It's just that they've got a groove on them as they were produced. So I'm going to stand back up here. Oh, I'm going to put my neutral on next. Get that ground hot out of the way. Get that switch leg out of the way. I'm going to put that on there. It's going to self-curl around that, I know from experience. Pull on it. Oh, it's very snug. So let's get that neutral back in the box like it was. Way back in there. Okay, now we're going to make up our switch leg. And if you want to read the installation instructions, you can, but I'm telling you that your black is your line and your red is your load. And this is our load. So now we're going to make up our load. Pull on that, very secure. That's not coming off for a couple generations. Alright, so we've got our neutral, ground, switch leg. Alright, I'm going to start dressing this out a little bit. Okay, get that ground way in the back out of the way as well. Okay, of course that will kind of get packed out of the way right there. We're going to put the hot back in place where it goes, leaving it kind of out here for us still. And now we're going to pack this all back in place right here. Let's hope there's no exposed terminals on this, or cuts on here that make me have to deal with this. There's our ground. That's kind of packing back in there pretty good. And then that goes in there. That looks beautiful. Let's put that back in place like I did before. Now that we got that neutral in there, that's why we really wanted to take that out, was for that and gaining access to the wires. Not too tight, just enough. Perfect. Okay, now what we'll do, okay, I'm going to expose this right there, and that's a little long, so I'm going to trim that back a little bit. I'll pick that up in a minute. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do. So there's no accidental load. I'm going to pull out that right there, which means no load will come on when it is terminated. Yes, I should have turned the breaker off. Okay, I've got 30 years experience. I'm comfortable with it I make my own rules, quite frankly. Okay. Oh, that looks beautiful. Alright, let's get these screws in here. Okay. Oh, I didn't bring my little impact. I could have done this a little quicker, but that's alright. It's a little deeper. I need to where is it? It's right in there somewhere. There it is. I'm going to leave that a little loose for a moment. And you can try to snap this on here a little bit, but if you go around like this and give it a little wiggle, you'll make things just like you want them. That's it. Okay. Screw straight up and down, just because we are OCD. Good electricians always are. I'm using this because I misplaced my little trim screwdriver. I don't know where's that. Straight up and down. And then for some reason we had this long one in here. We'll go back with it. A little excess, but okie dokie. Okay. I'll go a little bit further in there. One more. That looks beautiful. Okay, so now let's test the fan. Fan comes on. You can see it if I was to rotate this around. The light's already on. Now it's off. Okay, so now push that in. Comes on by default. Off, on, local control. That part's done. Okay, so now what we want to do, and this may not be a good idea, but I'm going to carry this ladder that I've got this contraption sitting on, and we're going to move it over to where we're going to install our Pico remote. Okay, so, oh, you know what? I'm going to have to edit this, but you won't see it. I got to go get my tape measure.
Are you working in here?
Excuse me.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm trapped in the closet.
Okay. What does 11 inches look like? That's pretty far away. I'm going to bring that into about 8 inches. And we're at 45 and a half. Right there. To the center of our switch. So there are some mounting screws that come with these brackets, but they're like little anchors. I'm not entirely impressed, so I use a nice coarse thread screw. It's more of a wood screw than anything. Okay, and so I don't fight this thing. I'm going to go ahead and put the remote in. This is your Pico remote. This will talk to that switch over there. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get it slid in there to the back. There we go. Nice. Right in its position here. So now you might say, okay, well, how are we going to program this right here? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take this back over there. Okay, so now we're going to program this right here, okay? This is an on-off switch. These were not purchased as a pair. They're separate devices, so this has to be programmed. So how you program a Caseta or a Pico to a switch is you press and hold the bottom button for about 6 seconds or so until the light blinks. Our LED is lit. So now we press and hold the off switch until they pair, and then the lights are going to blink off and on. That tells you that it is now paired, and I can now turn lights off and on with the switch, the Pico remote, or I can use the switch. And this could be on your bedside, tabletop, and we're going to mount it over there right at this height. So let's take a walk back over here. Okie dokie. If I can do this without messing this up. I'm hoping this will be a good video. Okay, we're back. So now that we've programmed this off, on, and I'm probably going to make this thing go off and on a couple times while I'm doing this. Okay, so I'm going to put this, I'm going to kneel down a little bit here. I'm going to say right there, looks great. Press that in a little bit. And I'm going to let the screw do the work. I'm not pressing in. I'm letting the screw fasten itself. I want to get this just about in spot, and it's wanting to pull out a little bit because there's a little bit of contour there. So before we tighten the top screw, see it's a little loose, we're then going to put that in position that I like for the bottom screw. Letting the screw do the work. Okay, now the top. Off, on. We'll put our faceplate on. Get that started. Get that started. Straight up and down. Straight up and down. Off. On. Beautiful. Now I'm going to test. Off. And on. Off. And on. And we are done. So that's how you wire and install the Caseta on-off switch. It's a multi-location switch. You can still have 3 ways, but then you can add the Pico remote to create even a 4th switch, or as many as you want. And then of course this can be programmed to turn on and off every light in the house. So that concludes this video. I hope you like it. Thunderchild out.